What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to a brand new video. As today we are back with another off-season realistic rebuild with another NFC team that fired their GM and their head coach with the Chicago Bears today. Before we get any further in this video though, guys, if you could help grow the channel by leaving a like and of course subscribing if you have not already. We always greatly appreciate it. Been grinding over here every day doing some Madden rebuilds. It's been a ton of fun. Would love to have you join the community. But the Chicago Bears, it's safe to say they had a pretty weird year. I feel like almost every week there's a different quarterback starting for this team. I think Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and Justin Fields had all started like week to week at one point on this team because of whether it was injuries or whatever it may be. It was just a total like shuffle around. Like, I've been there before as a Washington fan. Trust me, I know what it's like to start three quarterbacks or more in one season, and it's not fun. So one thing you know for sure though is Justin Fields should be the future of this team, which is great to know. So that's what you want to know, and that's what you would love to hear. So Justin Fields, obviously the Chicago Bears are going to be searching for a brand new head coach this offseason, a GM as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach that. You'd love to see that Matt Nagy is gone. I think it was kind of overdue. I thought they were going to fire him last year. They didn't. So it's good that he's finally gone. If we take a look at the offense and defensive side of the ball, I mean, there's definitely some pieces that this team can lay their hat on. But there's also some ways we can improve this roster for sure. So Justin Fields, of course, we got to find the head. Well, we're not going to be worried about that today because, the head coaching thing is not really a thing in Madden. Like, you just become the head coach. You can't really hire one. So unless if you're the owner, I think, but I don't do that. So basically the Chicago Bears need to find the head coach that's going to be right to develop Justin Fields. That's what the first thing they should be doing. And of course, a GM that believes in him. So let's get to this negotiating stage though. So we have 28 players ready to negotiate. Let's see who would be important to bring back. So one thing I have a good feeling on is I don't think Allen Robinson will be back with Chicago. I would imagine he will finally go to free agency. He was franchise tagged last year, I believe. So I think it is time for Chicago to move on from Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson should go seek other places as well. So that's a 29-year-old wide receiver. I think they should definitely move on. And I think both parties should just move on. Basically, that's what I think should happen anyway in that scenario. Now there's a right guard and a left or right end that we should probably be trying to get back. Those are both young pieces on our roster we'd love to keep around. Akeem Hicks is also a really nice veteran for Chicago that they've loved. So but first and foremost, I do want to take care of James Daniels. I do want to bring him back, but Allen Robinson I do not plan on bringing back. Even I think the Bears could also, maybe I could be wrong about this, but they could also use their transition tag, I believe, but that I might be incorrect about that, where they could trade him. They already franchise tagged him last year, so not totally sure how that works for sure. I just know that is a thing if the Chicago Bears didn't want to lose him for nothing. So we're going to get Bilal Nichols and James Daniels back. Akeem Hicks, I'm not going to sweat over. If we do get him back free agency, that's fine. Damian Williams going to move on as well because we're also going to be getting, I forgot what the other running back's name is. Tyreek Cohen, that's who I was talking about, that missed a season. So hopefully he'll be back so you don't necessarily need Damian Williams. So let's go into next week and start the free agency process. So head coach, just assume head coach and GM have been hired, and now we're going to free agency and seeing how to improve this roster a little bit more. So taking one last look. So I like what we have as far as a left tackle. We also have a very veteran left guard in Cody Whitehair, so that's fine. He's 30 years old. We'll leave him there for now. We don't have a center. We don't have a right tackle. We like Cole Kmet. I think that's great. We obviously lost Allen Robinson. We have David Montgomery and Tyreek Cohen, which is great. You also have Khalil Herbert, who actually showed some shine at times. So a wide receiver is going to be pretty important here to bring into Chicago. And then, yeah, you got quite a bit of holes here. So defensively, we need a corner. There's a lot. There's definitely a lot that we need to attack, and it doesn't help that the Chicago Bears do not have a first-round pick because of the Justin Fields trade. So we do have cap space, though, so that's a good thing. So let's go into free agency and see what we should be trying to go for. So Devontae Adams, I mean, as cool as that would be, I don't see Devontae going from Green Bay to Chicago. Don't think that makes a ton of sense for him, so we're not going to go that route. We do need a center, but I'm not sure Jason Kelce is the route we should be taking. We have Marcus Williams here. We have Melvin Gordon, Calais Campbell. Al Robinson, of course, is a free agent. You got Odell, Michael Gallup. I mean, Gallup could be interesting to pair alongside Justin Fields, so I might come back to that because we do need a wide receiver weapon. So Gallup could potentially be a number one somewhere, I feel like. I mean, he's been in Dallas as one of the better wide receivers there. Obviously, there's a lot of talent over there at the wide receiver core in Dallas, so I think he would have the ability to shine in a place like this. So we do need a strong safety, and I'm seeing Ronnie Harris here, and that makes a ton of sense for me as well. So I think the first thing I want to do is I do want to try to get Michael Gallup, just because I feel like he has the ability to definitely shine here in Chicago, and I would love to see him do that. So we're going to go ahead and offer Michael Gallup a contract. we are going to be his #1 offer just by a tad bit. So I'm going to increase the offer just a little bit because that way we could bring him in and he would be a nice weapon to have for Justin Fields to throw to. That didn't increase the offer too much. So let's just go a little bit more here. Maybe move this up to a $12 million cap hit. And hopefully that's good enough. So just like that, Gallup might have overpaid a little bit, but it is a weapon that we want to bring in. So we're happy to have that. So, and then the other thing, like I said, that I want to try to bring in, we have AJ Boya as a corner. But I definitely want to bring in Ronnie Harris as well at the strong safety spot. Because we do have Eddie Jackson at free safety, but we do not have a good strong safety right now. So I think it would be pretty important to bring in a guy like Ronnie Harris to be our strong safety. So we didn't even need to offer him that much, but it's whatever. So Ronnie Harris would be great to have on the roster. So, okay. And then there's a defensive tackle here, which I don't think we need defensive tackle. I think we need an edge rusher. We also need an offensive lineman. So that actually could be a good guard to grab. Demarcus Robinson also would be interesting. So there definitely is some pieces here that we want to go for. Rasul Douglas as a corner wouldn't be too bad to pick up in free agency as well. So there's some good options here. I am going to go ahead and try to get Austin Corbett. We do need offensive linemen, offensive line help. So if we could convince Austin Corbett to come to Chicago, I think that would be great. That will be his #1 offer just by a tad bit. So increase the offer just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and simulate to day 2 of free agency and see if we get everyone we tried to negotiate with. So that's 3 offers that we've thrown out there. If we get all of them, that's huge. So let's go ahead and see how the first day of free agency went for us. As day 1, it looks like we got only one person. So Ronnie Harris rejected and Corbett rejected. So Gallup did come. So we did offer Gallup a big bag. We did not get the strong safety, and we did not get the offensive lineman either. So that sucks, but we did get Gallup. So we needed a weapon to replace Allen Robinson. So I do like the idea of bringing Michael Gallup in to be a #1 wide receiver. So I'm not too upset about that. We needed, I guess we didn't really need a guard. We need a center and a tackle. So I guess I kind of messed up on that, but it's whatever. So maybe a blessing in disguise. We have Robert Quinn, no corner. Yeah, there's still a lot of holes on the defensive end. We need to figure out something. Offensively, obviously, we need offensive line help. We need a center. We need a lot of things, but defensively, there's a lot of gaping holes. Today's video is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a DFS player props website that allows you to go over or under on players' projections. You're facing no one in the world but yourself and the numbers. So let me go ahead and show you a few examples of how it works. So on this example, I went for a flex play on Deebo Samuel, Cordell Patterson, Laviska Shenault, and David Johnson, who were all able to hit or go under the numbers, which led to me getting $170. That's just one example. And here's another example where I didn't actually get everyone correct, but I still didn't walk away with nothing. Aaron Jones was able to hit over his fantasy score. Chase Edmonds got over 10 fantasy points, and Mercedes Lewis got under 18.5 receiving yards. But unfortunately for me, DeAndre Hopkins did not get a touchdown in this game. If you do decide to sign up, my link is down in the description below. Use code Crushables. They are offering 100% deposit match up to $100. All right, so we've definitely spent quite a bit of money here offering some players. So we have basically a lot of offers pending right now. So we have Adrian Phillips, the strong safety. We have Garen Conley as a corner. We have Chris Barnes, who would be a great addition, as we do need a middle linebacker who is from Green Bay. So that would be a nice steal. Deshaun Hand and Auden Tate as a third wide receiver. So hopefully we're able to get at least most of these guys. I don't know. We'll see. Let's simulate to next week. And let's see if we can get most of them, and that will complete a little bit of the holes we had on the defense with no first-round pick. So we got actually every single person we offered a contract to, which is just great. So it's just a little bit of patchwork, obviously. Chris Barnes is a nice long-term option at 24 years old. Auden Tate could, become something at 25. Deshaun Hand also only like 26, 77 overall. We needed an edge rusher, and then Garen Conley, we needed another corner. So pretty solid. I felt pretty good about all the additions we just made. Everyone was relatively, below 30, other than the strong safety. That was just kind of a little bit of patchwork. We still need offensive line help. That is still a big gaping hole. But if you take a look at the defense now, we definitely have a little bit of improvement here as we have another corner. We have Jalen Johnson, A. Jackson, Robert Quinn still here. So I'm going to go ahead and move Deshaun Hand to the left end. That way we have him as an edge rusher on the other side of the ball, and that will be just fine. So still need offensive line help. Still need a little bit more, but overall, feel pretty decent about what we were able to accomplish this offseason. Not a ton of splash moves, but at the end of the day, we improved. We improved just by a little bit. So a little bit of patchwork on the defense. A lot of these guys are not long-term options. We're going to be focusing on the draft, but with no first-round pick, I kind of had to try to accomplish anything I was able to accomplish. So, and then offensively, we still need offensive line help for protection for Justin Fields. So I think I'm going to try to get like one more offensive lineman in free agency with $80 million in cap space. And then I think the rest is going to have to be through the draft. So as far as no offensive line help, I'm sure it's very thin out here. I'm sure there's not a ton of options, but we could take a look. We need a tackle. Jason Peters was the guy that was playing there, but it doesn't make sense to bring him back at 40 years old. We have Kalish Ismail, and we also have Ben Jones, who could be a veteran center at the very least for this year. Right guard Kyle Long. I believe he played in Chicago before, if I'm not mistaken. We have Morgan Moses. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just looking at Ben Jones, and I think we could give him a one-year deal just to be the center for now because we need something. So I'm going to go ahead and offer Ben Jones a contract, and we're going to have a center, and then we're going to have to basically go into the NFL draft in the second round and hope we get a tackle, basically, and or whatever else we can get. We need a corner as well. There's a lot of things we still need. Wow, we lost connection to EA servers this fast. Usually doesn't happen until you get to the draft, but all right. Well, let's get to the draft, though. I'm sure Ben Jones accepted our contract, and we get to the draft and try to accomplish more on this team. So Ben Jones did accept our contract, of course. So we're going to be going into this draft with no first-round pick, only a second-round pick and a third. So a second and a third is basically going to be our big thing. Yeah, we don't have a ton of draft picks here, so a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. I mean, we could potentially even trade players for picks, but I mean, you could. I mean, technically, Chicago could, wave Khalil Mack out there if they wanted to, but I'm not going to do anything crazy like that. I think we're just going to basically go into this draft and hope we can draft a tackle or whatever it may be. So a tackle and a corner is really what my heavy focus is on. They say that we need a quarterback as well, but of course, we're going to be rolling with Justin Fields going forward. I'm more than comfortable with Justin Fields. Nick Foles is the backup on the roster as of right now. So let's go ahead and see how this draft's going to go for us. So let's start drafting. It should be a relative. Actually, I think it might be relatively in the middle. I wish you could make the draft order correct in Madden, but unfortunately, you just can't. So the Raiders have the #1 pick for some reason, but obviously they're in the playoffs playing Cincinnati this weekend. But if we go ahead and take a look, who is available as far as drafting? We need a tackle badly. So we have Kenyon Green on the board. We have Ventrell Miller, Jordan Davis. That's actually a really nice draft pick as well. Drake London. Okay. As far as tackles who are on the board, let's take a look. So we have Thayer Munford, Nick Broker, Jason Kirkland. I mean, at this point, I really don't know who all these guys are. Darian, Abraham, Lucas. We could just go ahead and draft a tackle. I know Jordan Phillips is really good. Slipped all the way to the second round. Or Jordan Davis, my apologies, not Jordan Phillips. Jordan Davis as a defensive tackle. We have Kenyon Green as well. D run block, B impact block. So A stamina, not looking all that great. We scouted him a little bit, but I think I'm going to take Jordan Davis here in the second round and put him on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, or I don't know why I said that. Put him at defensive tackle, obviously, and then we'll go to our next user pick, and let's go ahead and see if we can grab in the third round. So offensive line help or a corner is basically what I'm looking at here. So an offensive lineman or a corner is what we need. Drake London's on the board. Owen, Sean. So we have Sean as the best tackle that's popped up. He's got a B pass block. Okay. Let's see what else he's got. He got B pass block, D pass, C. We're just going to go ahead and take him. We needed a tackle, so I'm going to go ahead and take Sean here, and hopefully he becomes pretty good for us. We needed a tackle, and we only had, we don't have a fourth round, so I'm just going to go straight to the end of the draft, and we're probably going to have to make more moves than just this. Maybe we make a trade? Potentially, maybe a late trade. I'm not sure. Or we're just gonna have to go forward with what we have. So we did draft a corner and Roger McCary in the 5th round. We drafted a right tackle. So we did go and draft 2 tackles, which is great, obviously, but this one's not that great. And then we have Jordan Davis, which is awesome. But for the most part, a little disappointing draft. Let's just go straight to our team and see what it looks like. So this is gonna be probably not the best looking roster, but it is a little bit of a improvement, I guess. Just some patchwork that we were able to accomplish this offseason with no first round pick. I'm sure Chicago could execute some trades if they wanted to as well. So we have Ben Jones at center. We have a right tackle who is a 65 overall. So not the most ideal thing, but he is 23 years old, so you can see what he can maybe accomplish for you. You have Darnell Mooney, Michael Gallup, and Auden Tate. So you hope Michael Gallup can become really good here in Chicago. Justin Fields backed up by Nick Foles. You have Tyreek Cohen and David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, who's shown shine at times when David Montgomery was out last year. And defensively, this is what you got. You got Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson. You got Blau Nichols, Eddie Goldman, Deshaun Hand, Gary Conley, Adrian Phillips, Khalil Mack, of course, Roquan Smith, Chris Barnes. This was our biggest free agency signing by far, I believe. That was a great addition to the team. And Robert Quinn, unless if you're talking about Michael Gallup. So Robert Quinn also just, hopefully he can become something for us, or just be a nice edge rusher this year, or right outside linebacker, I should say, and pass rush the defense or offense. So here we go, man. I don't really know what to expect this year. This is probably not going to be the greatest team in the world, but at least we were able to improve some weapons and improve some things in the defense. And if we decide and somehow make the playoffs, I'll be very surprised, but not really expecting that. We'll see what happens. So this team went 8-9, and we got embarrassed by the Giants week 8, 49-7. Not ideal at all, obviously. So for the most part, kind of expected not to make the playoffs as this team. I mean, 8-9 is still a decent record, I guess, other than, what I maybe would have expected instead. So it is good that we were able to at least be at least around 500, I guess. Justin Fields, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So it is good to see that Justin Fields had a pretty productive year as the full-time starter. Completion rating wasn't all that great, but 4,000 yards, 570 pass attempts, which is great. So 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Rushing wise, David Montgomery had a great year, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. So you love to see that. Montgomery is going to be a huge piece of the future with Justin Fields. Michael Gallup, you gave him a big bag, 1,100 yards in the season for him, so he did become that #1 wide receiver you needed him to be. Auden Tate was also really good with 957 yards. Cole Kmet. Darnell Mooney, which I wish he had a little bit of a better year, because I know he's going to be great in Chicago. And defensively, if we take a look at what we were able to accomplish here, Khalil Mack still had a great year, 14.5 sacks, 4.5 from Bilal Nichols, 3 from Robert Quinn, 2.5 from Roquan Smith, 2 from Deshaun Hand, and 2 from Jordan Davis. Interceptions, we had 5 from Jalen Johnson. So really good year. Roquan Smith with 2. Khalil Mack even had an interception. Then Chris Barnes with 1. Eddie Jackson with 1. And Duke Shelley with 1 as well. And deflections on the year, looks like we had somebody with 7 with Chris Barnes. Great defense. And then touchdowns wise, we had none and no safeties. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at, in the offense, we were 22nd in the NFL, and defensively we were 20th in the NFL. So pretty much right in the middle, nothing crazy. So let's go ahead and see who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. We knew going into this that we may not make the playoffs, and I'm not surprised either. So let's just go ahead and see who makes the Super Bowl this year. Well, let's see the playoff bracket real quick first and foremost. So playoff bracket's going to look like this. You got Tampa Bay as the #1 seed, Green Bay, Minnesota, Dallas, Carolina, Los Angeles, New York. So I guess the Giants became really good. You got Chargers, Ravens, Patriots, Chiefs, and then Jaguars and Browns. So the Jaguars get really good as well. I think it's because Trevor Lawrence develops really crazy in this game. Okay, let's see who makes it all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say Jaguars, Bucks. No, that was totally off. So we have Patriots, Rams. Okay, Patriots and Rams. That's actually a Super Bowl we've seen before. So Mac Jones and the Patriots made the Super Bowl again. Now they get to play the Rams, where Jared Goff's not there. I'm assuming it's still Stafford. So, well, let's go ahead and see what happens. Simulating the next week, see who wins the Super Bowl. And we have the Los Angeles Rams going on to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me today. What do you guys think about the Chicago Bears and what they should be doing this offseason? So, it wasn't the greatest offseason in the world. I love the addition of Michael Gallup. I think, I think Allen Robinson and the Bears should move on from each other 100%. And then if you could bring in a guy like Michael Gallup, I think that's great. If not, go for somebody else. Defensively, though, stealing Chris Barnes from the Packers was great. Khalil Mack's going down to superstar development, which is not good. But there's definitely more things to address in the secondary. I think Chicago could be a team that might sell this offseason, where they might trade Khalil Mack and things like that. Maybe. That's a big maybe. I don't know. Kind of depends on what the new GM wants. But thank you guys for watching. What team should we do next? This is Crushables 2, and peace. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you click here to watch another video that I know you'll love.